Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel for another painting video. Something a little bit different this week to what I usually paint, but something that I very much enjoy painting and would love to basically paint more for the channel. So you're going to see a lot more videos of this particular franchise, and that is Corvus Belli's Infinity. If you're not sure what Infinity is, I do have a playlist that I'll put up in the corner there that is going to basically hold all of these painting videos, as well as I do have some unboxing and review videos, again link in the corner there, on the starter sets, the Infinity Code 1. But just a quick rundown on it. It is basically a sci-fi skirmish game that plays with, it's a two-player, plays with between 10 and 25 miniatures, so not a huge amount needed. It's a great game if you like skirmish games. It takes about an hour to 2.5 hours depending on the size game that you're playing, but again I'll be making videos all on playing Infinity. What I would like to say here is a huge thank you to Corvus Belli. They have been kind enough to send me a box here. If I can get it all on screen, it is the O2 Torchlight Brigade Action Pack. So there it is, that's all the miniatures that you get in it. This retails at, I think, 89.95 euros, so 90 euros, and probably around about 70 to 80 pounds, depending on where you are, where you're buying it from. But that's everything you get in the box. Today I'm showing you how to paint this guy here. Now I will say, and this is absolutely completely rare, I have never had a problem with miniatures before from Corvus Belli, but the miniatures come unassembled. They are metal miniatures, and unfortunately they gave me two of the shields for this guy, his arm with the shield, and not the one for this guy, so I had to do a little bit of carving away to get the arm to sit right, otherwise it sat too low. I'm assuming they are different arms. For some reason this arm that was for this character in the bag that they come in just wouldn't fix for him. So if you buy this, do obviously check and make sure your parts, they are a great company. They will send you replacement parts if you are missing any, or in my case it looks like it was the wrong shield arm that was sent. So yeah, you can get in touch with them and they would replace that. But aside from that, I've never had problems with Corvus Belli and their miniatures, and you can see here they are great quality miniatures. Like I said, they are metal, which for some people it's a little bit daunting, but in all honesty it's no different than plastic. You just need super glue to glue them together. This is done with cheap super glue from my local pound shop. In America that would be your local dollar store. But yeah, cheap super glue and a what do you call it, a spray, I'll show you, it's this stuff, activator, that's the one. So just a spray on activator to have the glue set pretty much immediately. I've then gone ahead and primed this. So yeah, so this is the model. Thank you Corvus Belli for sending me this. They have sent me some other things as well, again, which I will be painting up and showing you. So these are O12, and I'm going to be painting them in the same colours as the box, which is blue and gold. One thing I love about Corvus Belli's miniatures is they just feel fitting for non-metallic metal schemes rather than using metallic paints. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to use, or how to paint non-metallic gold and silver. Another thing you'll notice is you can get the odd sort of piece that's slightly bent out. You just carefully bend it back into place and then that's fine. So this is the miniature. Now I've primed him in black, but you can see there is some of that metal where the paint didn't get. So I've got some Abaddon black on my palette here. I am using primarily Games Workshop colours here. The only part that I won't be using, or sorry, not Games Workshop, it is Games Workshop, but Citadel paints. The only one that I won't be using is for the non-metallic golds. I actually use Reaper paints for that from Reaper Miniatures, just because I like the trio set that they do for that. But I will put down in the description, obviously, a list of all the paints that I'm using, and for the case of the 3 non-metallics, I will put the Citadel equivalent to those, or the closest that I can, see that they are. So that if you want to follow along and you want to use Citadel for the non-metallic, then you can do that as well. Now, most of this video I'm going to leave uncut or minorly edited, but certain things, like me just getting all this black down so I've got a nice even black base, I'm going to cut now, and then we'll jump back in once I've got a nice even layer down. Okay, so now that I have an even black all over, there are a few bits that look like they're metallic, but it's not. It's just the way the light is shining on the black, such as in there. If I move it, you can see that it is black. So yeah, I've got a nice, pretty much matte as Games Workshop paints can be. I'm going to keep saying Games Workshop, guys. Obviously, I mean Citadel. I've just always called them Games Workshop paints because that's the parent company. Sorry. So yes, what we're going to do is work on the blue armor first, then the golden parts of the armor, or in the box work they look yellow, but it's non-metallic gold, I suppose you could say. And then we'll do sort of the non-metallic blacks and metal, such as on here. There's parts like the boots and stuff, and his backpack mainly. And then after that, we'll go on to the face. Now, this is going to be a little bit more in depth than my usual Warhammer videos. What I like to do with Corvus Belli stuff is go really more detailed, in the sense of blending and things like that. So it is a little bit more of an advanced video. If you're new to painting, don't worry. I am going to try and do some more beginner friendly videos, but all we're going to do is, obviously I need to use the reference. So what we're doing is working with light and shadow. Now I want the light to be coming from this direction, so, and there's going to be a little bit of reflective light going this way. Now you can see if I hold this like that, my light source, which is up here, is already lighting up for me the areas. So we can see that this side is going to be brighter, it's going to get a little bit darker here, and then it's going to be dark under there a little bit. You can see there's a little bit of a highlight around here, and then under this side it's going to be dark. The same with the leg. You can see that this is quite dark here, but then in this little muscle area it's a little bit lighter with a little bit of a highlight there. And then on this side, because this leg is forward more, it's catching more of that light source, like even if it's this way. Unfortunately I can't show you with the camera, but it's not quite as dark as this side. So this inside leg is the darkest, then this, and then the outside of this leg and anything down this side is going to be brighter, with this side being the brightest. Now unfortunately it looks like the camera's being a bit weird. No, that's fine. So I've got 3 blues here. Let's show you. So the first one is Macragge blue. The middle colour here is Calidor sky, and then the last colour, the brightest one, is Teclis blue, and that's what we're going to work up to. So I want my darkest blue, but I want it to be black as well. So I'm thinning this down to almost a glaze consistency, so you can see there it does need a bit more water. And obviously this is on the Kaidrufi wet palette. So you can see there that it's thinned down. And what we're going to do is use some glazing and work our way up. So this is going to be our dark blue, but it's actually going to be using the black undertone. So what we want to do is anything in here is going to get pretty much a thin glaze of it. Let's thin that down just a little bit more. There we go. You can see when it dries it's a very dark blue. Now you can see there a bit too much water, because with the glaze it's not that it's watery, it's that it's thinned down so that there's less pigment. Not a lot of water, but not a lot of pigment either. If you're getting pooling, you've probably got a bit too much water on there. I like to just touch the paper towel, the brush to a paper towel, just to absorb some of that extra moisture. So again, using my light and reference, I can see that we're going to get a little bit brighter up here. So this will actually get a couple of layers. And all I'm doing is just sort of sketching in with this where the sort of the lighter area is going to be. And then the same one here, but again this is going to be lighter. And you want to make sure that you are pulling away from the dark area when doing this, and finishing off where you want that lighter area to be. So again, I can go back over this as it dries and get that lighter shade in there, and you can see we've got that darker where it's black still underneath. Now it is going to get blue over it, but I want to build up this blue first, and then we can do a single pass to get that dark blue in there. So we'll see if we can get, there you go, so it's got a single pass there, you've got that dark blue here, almost black, and then the lighter blue here, and obviously we're going to be working up on that. So what I'm doing here is just concentrating about halfway down this plate, so I'm leaving that little shadow area just up in the top there, and then just concentrating on the bottom. You want to make sure that each time you go over, you know, pass over an area you've already done, that you are coming up a little bit higher each time to leave some of that darker tone. So you can see here, this is going to be darker here, lighter out here, so I want to come this way. And then we're going to be lightest on the top here, so that, we just want a little bit more blue, and then that's fine. And then the same under here. It's going to be darker on this side compared to this side. It's just thinking about where that light is going to hit most. Anything on the underside of something is going to be darker than anything on the top, and anything on this side is going to be lighter than this side, and anything on this side is going to be the brightest out of all, which is what the brighter colours are for. Okay, so we've got that bit there is blue, and then the same with this piece here, and then the boot itself, the foot area is black, so obviously we'll be doing that with greys, or blacks and greys. Alright, so on the thigh here, obviously again darker on this under area and then coming lighter, so we'll sketch in the light area first, and then we can leave a bit of shadow because this plate here is going to cause a bit of shadow under there. Let that dry for a minute, and we can do this under area here, and then just make that a single pass. Like so. Okay, so I can't see. Oh no, I can. Okay, so all of this plate on one of the other guys is all blue. I'm going to change that up a bit. I want the middle bit to be blue and the outer bit to be done in gold. Again, it's a great thing about painting, you can do things how you want. So all I'm going to do with this, now looking at how the light is, we have this area is under the shield, so it's going to be the darkest, and then this area is getting the light from here, so it's going to be the middle tone, not the one that's coming from this side. Not as bright as the one that's coming from that side. So always wait for the first layer to dry before going over, otherwise you're just going to pick up and move about the paint from that previous layer and you won't get the right look for a glaze blend. So you can see I'm missing that middle detail, cut out, whatever you want to call it, as that is recessed, so I want that to be black. And then I'm just going over, coming a little bit further back each time. Obviously the camera's not going to show it, but we are basically black under here. So this, I think I can do a little bit lighter, so again I'm just going to give it a quick glaze over, and then here we can go brighter. This area is Under Armour, so that's going to be in non-metallic, but a dark metal, almost black like. So now we can work on the chest piece. So obviously we know that this side is the brightest. Now I do think I got some super glue run on here, which is what's given that bit of rough texture. I'm going to leave it there. Doesn't bother me too much, but obviously if I was painting this for a commission or something, then I would scrape that off and re-prime it. Okay, so again, if the light is coming from the top, this collar is going to be brighter nearer the bottom because it's coming down, so the light's coming down this way and it's going to light it. This bit along the front is going to be more here, but near edges it is going to be brighter because those edges are going to really pick up light and reflect it back. And then this side is going to be 1, maybe 2 passes because it's got the reflective light from this side on it. What I will ask, guys, if you are enjoying this method of me teaching or showing you how I do things, let me know down in the comments, or if you prefer shorter videos. I have been considering setting up a Patreon for videos like this where I really go into depth on doing things. Would you guys be interested or willing to pay for a Patreon, £5–10 a month, to get videos like this? And then on YouTube, obviously I'll do my usual ones where it's just a little bit shortened and sort of less advanced. Or would you prefer me to not keep anything behind a paywall and you guys just sort of donate here and there, or subscribe when I get enough? Not subscribe, sorry, what's the other one? I think it's subscribe. It's the one, that the premium version that you can do with YouTube that I can't do yet because I don't have the number of followers. But yeah, let me know what you would like from me, as I have been thinking of a Patreon, but obviously that's extra work and I don't like the idea of keeping this behind a paywall, but I do need to make some money from the channel in order to keep it going. So let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see what we do in future. Okay, so that's that. Now we've got this lighter blue, or this sort of mid blue, along most of the underside here, and this side, and then we've got that little bit of plate armor there, Like I said, this top bit is going to be brighter, but what we want to do is bring it up as bright as we can with the glaze. And what I'm doing is, you can see that this is the going to be the brightest on this side, and then it will just get highlights. Whereas this side, the brightest is going to be the highlights on this side, and then it will have its own highlight, which will be the lighter colour. Got a hair there. Okay, and then this bit in here, again, it's going to be fairly dark because it's on the inside, but it is going to get a little bit extra light from this reflective side as well. Okay, moving on to the arms. So we'll do this side first. So all of this is blue, and obviously this is going to be a brighter blue. So a bit too much water there. Just pull it all back off. And then we can go back in and glaze. So again, going to be darker under here, and then brighter on the top. So anything around this area. Still need to let that dry. On the inside underarm, literally one pass blue, just to get that tint of very dark blue under there, and the same with that. Also, we can't reach it too well, so we don't need to worry about a huge amount of detail in there. If light can't reach in, then detail can't be seen. Okay, so this side, from a look at the box art, this looks like it's done in white, or a sort of grey, non-metallic. I can't tell. It doesn't seem to be Under Armour, and I like the idea of him having sort of bulky armour. So we got this plate here over his hand. The elbow pad is going to be the same gold as the knees. You can see that this looks like a plate armour here, and then obviously he's got all of his back, and I can't see his back, so I'm going to assume it is the same non-metallic black metal that his legs are. These discs, I think I'll do them in that same black metal, dark metal, and then for his whatever reason he's got this really big piece down over here. He's obviously compensating for something. So I think what we'll do, that in black armour and this in black armour. Let's go back over the shoulder guard here. So again, a bit too thin. Dry a bit and that'll be okay. For the shield, obviously the angle he's got it up, going to be a little bit darker down here, and then going up to this brighter blue up the top. So all we're doing really is just looking at the number of passes we go over an area to bring that blue up. So the collar at the back here is yellow, or gold. If I say yellow, I mean gold, but it's yellows that we'll be working with. So obviously don't need to paint that. So again, on this area we're looking to really build up this more brighter blue, coming from a darker shadow area, but because it is in an open area it is still going to get some bright light down there, so it is going to show quite a bit of that blue. Okay, we're pretty much there for this tone of blue. Just going to get this shield a bit brighter, as again it is on the outside but it is also on the underside, so just want to make sure that it's not too dark or too bright. Okay, now on his thigh here, the gun is in the way, but he does have that same extra plate that is on the other side, so I'm just going to get some blue in there and then under here, but it's going to be quite dark because obviously that gun is going to cause some shadow under there. So yeah, I think that is plate. I'm not sure how it connects with that back piece, so I think we'll do it as plate armor in blue, and then we'll go up to the brighter blue. Yeah, it's part of that plate armor at the top there, and then under here, but it is separated from the armor, so it is part of that as well, or it's separate from that, I mean. And yeah, a little bit confusing, but again, this is, you know, sort of have a look at your model and sort of work out where you want colours to be, what armor you want to be what. Okay, so moving on, we're now going to take the Calidor Sky. Now this is obviously a much brighter blue than the other one there. But once we start glazing it on, you'll see that it is different. So again, this side is the brightest, but more towards the bottom. So we'll just start with picking off anything that is on the surface area and is going to be brighter. On this side it's darker up here because obviously we've got the light coming this way, and then it's going to be a little bit brighter here and also along edges. So all we're going to do is just glaze that back like so, and then just create an edge down there. And then the same one here, create that edge and then just bring down so that brightest blue is on this outside. And then let each layer dry fully so that you can see how your how much brighter, how many more passes you need to make. So obviously on this side, highlight the top here, but not too much down on the lower side of it. You can come down a little bit, but not too much. And then on here, we're just looking to highlight this sort of main top area, and then just come down into the side here. And then we can go along and just sort of grab some of the edges with some highlight. So working on the shield, this is going to be the brighter side, and then obviously it's going to be a bit darker here. So what we want to do is thin down a little bit more and then come from here up. And then again just come and touch out on the edges, keeping these thin. And if you used it with what we're glazing with, a couple of passes should make it bright enough. So here obviously we're going to be brighter than down here, and then we're going to be a lot more brighter at the top here. So again, we're just using the side of the brush and just glazing up. And with this, if you go too much, you can go back into the previous colour and just go over that and blend them too. You can even, if you needed to, go into some very thin down black and drop that in over the top here, back into the blue like so, and you've got your blend back up. The camera isn't showing it up super bright, but it is there. What I'll do, I'll play around with contrast and stuff in editing to make sure that I get it to a matching level to what I see. Again, very careful edge highlighting here. And we're now trying to get it up to that Calidor sky blue on the brighter points. This one here will be a little bit brighter towards the outer edge, but it's mainly edge highlight. Okay, so that's hopefully noticeable, that you can see the difference between the blue here and then the blue here. So now on this inside leg, obviously this is going to be quite a dark blue, so we're not looking to highlight too much, just more on this edge here, and then it's just edge highlighting with the Calidor sky. So anywhere down, right down at the bottom, where it's going to be darkest, it is literally just the Calidor sky, very, very fine lines and edge highlights, just to define where those edges are. Obviously it's in darkness and shadow, so not too much light is going to get there, but very, very sharp edges are going to pick up more light than softer edges. So do make sure that any of those hard edges that you do pick up with the Calidor sky, or whatever your mid-tone is, depending on what colours you're using. So again, coming from this side, we do have a little bit more light, so this is going to be a little bit brighter, but we don't want to go too bright. We want to leave a darker spot here and then an edge highlight around it. Like so. And this side is going to be a bit brighter because it's got this light coming right down on it, but then it does go round into shadow. So again, we want to make sure that although we're bright here, it is only that small area, and then it blends off and we just got those sharper edge highlights. And then the same here, we're just going to have this small area that is a little bit brighter than the rest that goes further back into that shadow area. Like so. Okay, so moving on to this side, all of this top area is going to be the brightest, so we do obviously want to glaze this, but we want to bring it right up to that brighter blue and just leave some of that darker blue near those overlaps and sort of shadow areas. So coming into this side, obviously we want to pick out some of these defining edges, but we don't want to go super bright. And then we can glaze in and bring it up to this bright spot on the top. So here, you'll note that we've got this sharp edge down here. There is a small angle here, if we can show it, but it's so small that light wouldn't really pick on it. So all we're going to do is just very lightly sort of define it in there, but leave it alone. We're not going to touch it too much. And then here we're going to come down along this edge like so, and again we're just picking out edge highlights on the shadow area, and then on the darker side everything. Now for the dark area of the shin guard, obviously this side is lighter, but it's only going to be lighter sort of this area nearer the top. As it gets to this edge, it's going to get darker, and then there's going to be a sharp edge highlight here, so use the side of your brush. And then we're just going to try and brighten that up a bit. Okay, so for under here, obviously we've got this edge, so we'll pick that it comes around this sort of disc piece, and then there. That we're going to leave dark, and then the same with this side, we're going to leave it dark. Down the middle, it's going to be lit up pretty much across, but slightly darker on this edge. And then the same with this, we're just looking to pick these edges out. Okay, so the muscle here is pretty much going to be lit up at the top. The same with this bit and this. So a nice bright blue. And then on the inside of the arm, it's going to be a bit darker than the outside, but it is fairly exposed. So we're just going to brighten up the top. And the same with this, it's going to get darker underneath, where it will be the McCrag blue. But as we come up and around this cylinder shape, we're going to get this highlight along here. So let that dry, and then here we're going to get the same kind of thing, and then an edge highlight there and around this piece here. So again, we're building up the layers with this glazing. Let that dry a bit and we'll work on this. So again, you can see that the light is actually showing me where a shadow should be, and then we're lighter here, and this is the brightest spot, and then the same here coming down this way. And then along the top here of this one, a little bit down the front here, but it's mainly going to be an edge highlight, and then this one we get a small edge highlight here. And then again we can blend this down, get this to be our almost brightest spot. And this time with this, we're not coming down quite as far, and we'll get that gradient that comes down. Okay, on this side of this sort of cuff collar piece, just going to do a bit of light because of the light coming this way. The reason I have two light sources as well is so that we're not all light on one side and all dark on the other. It means that you can get those sort of two tones in there. So all I'm doing now is, with barely any paint left on the bristles because I've used it on other areas, I'm just feathering or feather blending to brighten up some of these spots. So I want this to be a little bit brighter. The same with this. So I'm just going to, you can see barely any paint is coming off. I'm just trying to build up that blue a little bit, like so. So I can see here I still want to be a bit brighter. Okay, so I want a little bit, I'm going to go a little bit of that one just under here, the McCrag blue, just to brighten that a little bit more. There we go, so you can see there's a bit of blue under there. Right, now for the next level of highlight, the Techless blue. So again, get a glaze going on the palette, and you can see, or well, you can't really see because the camera's a bit blurry due to the focus being set for here, but basically you can see that blue is showing through, and this is going to be the brightest of this side, and then the finest point highlights on this side. So we want this bright here, and then it's going to come in and edge highlight some of the details on this side. So keep this very fine. I'm stippling here to get a bit of texture. And you can see we now have a nicer edge highlight along there, and then we're going to brighten this up a bit more. And same with here, we're just going to work on this edge and then edge highlight right around here. And then the same one here, we want an edge highlight around this, but we're also going to have this as the brighter blue area. Okay, so the inside, what we want to do is get the bristles to a nice point, so it's important that you get a good brush for this, and then we're just going to very carefully stipple highlight just on the corners and almost up to complete edges, and only on hard edges. So these softer ones here we're going to leave in that lighter blue, or sort of darker blue, sorry. This is the bright blue. So there's a hard edge here and there, and then we can come back to this one as well. It looks like it needs a second pass. That can be bright. And then the same down this leg. It's not going to be as bright because it's lower down, the light can't quite reach it as much, but it is still going to have this highlight, and then just around the bottom here that is going to be a little bit brighter than it is up the top there. And then here, where we have this little cutout shape, just want to highlight around it slightly, and then edge highlight this hard edge along here. So in this shadow area, obviously we've got the dark blue, and then we've got these edge highlights. What we want to do is use, again, some thin down Techless blue, and this is so that we don't end up with a super harsh highlight. Just get the brush to a point, and then we're just going to edge highlight on corners and go about halfway to the next corner. So obviously this one is going to be quite close, but as we come down here, or I should say a third of the way to the next corner, so these two are going to join, but this one isn't going to come as low. And then the same this way, because it's quite a short sort of gap, we're going to get an edge highlight along there, and this only applies to the top area where the light is going to catch. So on the front here, it's going to just be that bit, and then this softer edge here, just going to put one there. Okay, so here again we can go quite bright on the top because the light is coming this way, and these are parallel with the ground. This one, however, slopes down a bit, and then under here is dark, so we're just going to edge highlight on this side and leave it on this side. And the same in here, edge highlight along this edge and down. And it really is just a case of building up and try not to over brighten, or you can brighten it up everywhere at the same time. So if you want this even brighter, then obviously you'll have to make this side a little bit brighter as well. So here I'm just keeping the light along the top where it's coming down. Okay, and then we can edge highlight this. Okay, so sorry for the it's a bit of a cut there, guys. This is the next day now. Obviously I'm having to record this over a few different sessions, partly because of the length of it, and obviously partly because of the quality of it. You know, the level of detail that we're going with it just takes a little bit longer. But as you can see, all I am doing is basically just glazing, keeping that paint thin, but not watery. When I say thin, I'm meaning the amount of pigment that is on the bristles. So again, just working where that light is going to be hitting, that brightest area, and then just building up with the lightest blue there. And then edge highlighting anything in that darker area with the Techless blue. So all I'm doing here is, if we can get it, got the manual focus on, let's go for automatic, see how that works. So you can see I've stippled in just a bit of texture detail on where that light would sort of shine down on these rounded areas. And then we can do something similar with this sort of rounded corner along here. But what we're trying to do is basically get a smooth gradient from that darker blue to the lightest blue, and then using a combination of the light blue, or the mid blue and the lightest blue, as highlights. So this side, obviously we can highlight this top edge, and then there's also going to be a bright spot right around here. And you can see if we put the under the light there at roughly the right angle, we can do it this way, so you can see it's just on the back curve here if you angle or tilt it away. So we're going to use that as a reference and just get a bit of highlight on there, and then just bring out an edge highlight on that curve area. And then here we can just edge highlight again. Same with the shield. Again, we're just going for that upper area. Keep the pigment on the bristles to a minimum, and come from that darker area to that lighter bit. If you find that you get a bit of a hard line, just quickly rinse the brush off, go back over and sort of stipple over that line and feather it out a bit more. And then again, we're trying to build up to get that bright blue up the top here. Right, so I'd say that that is probably it for the brightest tone. So what we're going to do now is take a little bit of Fenrisian grey, because it's a blue grey, and this I'm basically using instead of white for that almost bright highlight. And all we're going to do is apply some new paint down, and then we're going to mix up. So we're going to take about a 50-50 mix. And this gives us our brightest highlight blue, aside from pure white, which obviously isn't a blue. So this I don't want to thin down as much. We do want to be able to draw some clean lines with it. So all we're going to do now is just concentrate this on this side of the model and any top edges. Okay, so hopefully you can see it, but we've got that blue in there. Now I do think that we could do with a bit more of the Techless blue as an edge highlight in here, just to make this stand out and look just a little bit more vibrant, and just to sort of show off these edges, but again keeping the lines as fine as possible. Just to give definition to the edge of the armor plates. And then for the shield we can use this brighter colour just to edge highlight up on the top here. Okay, so for now, aside from white highlights, which we'll be doing at the end, that is pretty much it. Now if you wanted to, and I may even end up going back and doing it, you can use the Fenrisian grey and brighten up the brightest areas even more before going into the white. And it all depends on how much of a shine you want this armour to have. And there we go. So I prefer a much more subtle shine, or subtle highlighting with my miniatures. Some people like to go really sort of shiny, reflective, metallic-y looking. But I prefer the slightly more subtle type. Okay, so it's going to take this blue and edge highlight the bottom of this a bit more, brighten it up. There we go. So next we'll move on to doing the black Under Armour, partly because obviously it's already black and we don't need to worry about too much, but also if we get any black on top of the gold once we're done, it's going to be harder to fix it. Really, we probably should have done the black Under Armour before I even did the blue, but it's not too much of a problem because we're only going to be using greys. I'm just going over with this black, which is the Abaddon black, just to make sure that it's as covered as I need it to be. And obviously we can make any touch-ups. If I've got blue anywhere I didn't want it to be, which I don't think I have. There's a panel here and his pack. I'm debating on doing it blue at this point. Like I said, I don't have a reference to the back of the model, so a lot of that is going to be guesswork, and then obviously the inside of the shield as well. So we'll go with the blacks. So for that we already have the Fenrisian grey, which is going to be our lightest colour, and I'm going to add some Dark Reaper. So we've got the Dark Reaper here. Now I'm actually leaving a space in the middle. I'm going to have to puncture that. So I'm leaving the space in the middle because I'm actually going to make a 50-50 mix there. And this Dark Reaper is thick. There we go. So what we'll do, we'll take some of this Dark Reaper, some of the Fenrisian blue, probably a 50-50 mix, maybe slightly more towards the Dark Reaper. Actually, I think we'll add a little bit more of the Fenrisian. So yeah, a little bit more towards the Fenrisian than the Reaper. There we go. So that's our 3 tones. And to be honest, the Dark Reaper probably isn't going to do too much because it's going over black. Just thinning this down with some water. Right, so again, same kind of thing. Inside leg is going to be lit up a little bit from the light coming from this direction. And it's on the top. This side we can't see too much, it's going to be in shadow. On the underside, this cheek is going to be lit up and the back of here, but under here is going to be pretty much dark. The same as this side is going to be dark. This side is going to be dark, but a little bit lighter because it's got the stronger light coming from this way. And then the feet, obviously, light on this side, light around here. Darker on this side, but not as much. Darkest on the inside towards the back there, and then lighter on this side again. So we'll start with the inside. And again, this is all going to be using almost glazing technique and stippling. So what I'm doing here, I'm pushing the brush backwards, but the bristles are barely touching, so I'm not actually bending the bristles in a way that's going to damage them. So in there is pretty much as light as it's going to be. Top of the foot, we've got this panel here, and it's going to get a little bit darker on the inside, a little bit bright up on top of here, but dark down there, and then the same round here, a bit brighter along here. And then brightest on the outsides. Obviously we can build this up with the lighter colours. So just edge highlighting this bulbous bit because the light is coming down. It's going to catch the most up here, and then a little bit across that flat surface of it, and then obviously it's going to catch the top of that, and then a little bit down the front of this. Same with this, pretty much bright on the top, light down the side and along the bottom, again because of that reflective light. And then we'll build this back up a bit more. And then in the shield area, just have a look at the reference. We are black up here, and this area in here. And then this bit around here and along here are gold, sort of golden yellow. So I'm just going to edge highlight the darker area or pull up to it, and then in here I just put a bit of a lighter bit in the middle. Like I said, this is sort of a dark metal or metallic-y colour, so we are doing it a sort of non-metallic metal but almost black. Right, back of the knees. Same kind of thing, just keep these lines minimal. There's 3 of them there. And then the buttocks. So we can see we've got this natural light from my light source up the top here. It's seeming to be brighter at the top, and then obviously there's that gap between each one, which is where we're going to add the highlights. And then on this side it's going to be pretty much in shadow because of that gun, so we'll just edge highlight some of the area along there. And then this back area, like I said, this is going to be pretty much in darkness, so we just need this little bit of highlight here. And then on this side it's going to be a bit brighter, so we'll start by bringing it in. Okay, so we can now go in with this middle tone, or it's almost a brighter tone, and we can start lighting up the edges, so edge highlighting everything and building up that lighter area toward the top of things. There we go. And then on this side, obviously this is going to be a bit brighter, so we'll make the highlights come from that edge and work into the area a little bit more. And the same on the inside, just highlight it finely, picking off the sharpest edges. And the same in here, just, that was actually too much. You just want to grab that edge highlight. just trying to show where the edge of the different shapes are. And the same in here. We're just going to grab the edges of the raised areas. And then on the butt area, I'm going to highlight that top edge and then bring it down slightly on a couple of them, like so, and then just edge highlight the remaining ones. And then here we're just going to stipple a little bit in this bottom area, because there's no hard edges, we can't really define it too much, but we can put in a little bit of texture on the smooth area just to give it a bit of definition, separation from the other areas. Okay, so moving into the shield, obviously we've got this area, and this is going to be almost as bright as the outside edge on this side, and then we want to make sure that we are edge highlighting as well. There we go. Hopefully the camera can show that enough. Okay, and then finally, using the Fenrisian grey, thin it down a little, remove any excess moisture from the bristles, and then we can go in and edge highlight these brightest areas. So on the outside here, you can just catch these upper edges. And then the same with the outside edges of this area. And then on the inside areas where it's a little bit brighter, we're just going to point highlight on corners just to get them to stand out a little bit. And only the upper corners. There we go, so that's the black done nice and easy. So we've obviously still got to do the sword and the non-metallics for those, but we'll now go on and work with the gold. So for this I am using Reaper's paints, the Master Series paints. I'm not 100% sure if they still do these ones. These are a few years old now, but go on their stores and check. So we've got the non-metallic gold shadow, non-metallic gold base, and non-metallic gold highlight. I will put down in the video description the list of paints anyway, and the Games Workshop or Citadel equivalent to these. But yeah, basically any sort of desert brown, tan brown kind of colour. You could go with a slightly reddish brown if you want a more reddish gold. A mid yellow that's slightly towards the red side, and then obviously a bright yellow. Okay, so with our three colours down, what we're going to do is work out using the middle tone where the majority of the gold is, and then we'll go in and put the shadows in, and then we'll do the highlights. Now I will say I am still learning non-metallic metal, so whatever I do or say here, take with a pinch of salt. I am not necessarily trying to teach you guys how to do non-metallic. There are better videos on YouTube that will teach you how to do this. This is just the way that I do it to get the result that I can. Okay, but let me know down in the comments how well you think I do with not only the non-metallic metal but the video overall, and obviously the non-metallic gold, if you think that it works or if it doesn't. So what I like to do is stipple my gold. I find that the more texture you have in it, the more realistic it looks. So all I'm doing is working out my brightest areas, and we're going to have some black, but the majority of it is going to be in the dark areas, is going to be the brown. It'll be brown and black. In the lighter areas it's going to be this golden yellow and brown, and then the brightest areas and edge highlights are going to be in that other yellow. So working, we've got this top here, and obviously we know we've got the light coming from this side, and we also have an edge here. So this edge is going to be this yellow, this edge is going to be the brighter yellow, and then this will be the mid yellow, with a little bit of the brown on that edge. I hope that makes sense. So then this side, we're going to have an edge highlight along here of this yellow, and then up here obviously going to be that bright yellow. So there's not going to be too much brown on this side because, well, it's pretty much all in light. Underneath, now if we can get that in light, if I can get it in camera, so we can see that the light, because the light's coming down but the kneecap is slightly twisted, or the whole leg is coming out, it's going to be brighter nearer the bottom of this, and then it's going to be that brown darker colour towards the top, and there is an indent there, so that is going to be in shadow. And then there'll be an edge highlight of this, and then the edge highlight along there. Now I'm probably going to end up covering some of that with the brown, and then we'll go back in. Like I said, I'm just sketching out the area at the minute. So we've got this kneecap here is obviously going to be lit up on this side, but it's going to be a bit darker. And then we've got this. So this side is going to be the brown for the majority of it, going into the black nearer the inside, but there is obviously light coming from both ways. It's just going to be a bit darker. So we've got this brown, and again this is thinned down, and then the same down here. It's going to get a little bit lighter towards the bottom, and then darker nearer that edge due to the angle and shape that we've got. What I'd like to do is work on one area at a time. So now I can blend and go to that mid-tone, go back a bit, and just work it backwards and forwards to get the effect that I want. And I'm not cleaning the brush in between because basically you want to sort of blend on the brush as well as on the model. I'm going to switch this brush down to a size 0 and then continue, just because it's got a different type of point on it. Okay, so again, obviously the majority of this is going to be that brightest yellow. And then we're going to have this light red here. That's probably a bit too much paint on the bristles there. Okay, so the only thing missing from there is the white highlights, and I think that we can do some edge highlights here for the gold. Okay, I think that could be a little bit brighter down here. I'm just going to glaze over it. There we go. A bit brighter still. There. We'll just go and put some white on. So for this I'm using dead white Vallejo game colour, but obviously any pure white will work. What I'm going to do now is on the brightest areas, I'm just going to put in a white highlight. Mainly it's going to be the corners and then coming down slightly into those straight lines. And only on this upper edge. You won't do it on a bottom one. If you want to do a point highlight there, it will be done with that bright yellow. So obviously the camera is sort of dulling it out. Again, I will adjust this after I've recorded, so then you should be able to see it true to what I'm seeing. But yeah, that white just isn't showing up as white on the camera. Okay, on to the next kneecap. I'm doing these because they're the ones that are in dark and shadow. So this one, we've pretty much got this bit in light, this bottom area in light, and then this outside area in light. Everything else is dark. Okay, so that's the gold for the inside. So you can see I've kept it a lot darker with the shade, glazed over, but kept some of that black showing through, and then used the brightest colour as an edge highlight on this side. Brown here, but again leaving some of that black showing through and mixing it with a little bit of the golden yellow. Brown and black under here, and then this side were a little bit brighter, similar to this side, with that highlight shown here. And then all we do is go in with the white, and same thing as the other side, we're just picking out top corners and edges, and that's pretty much it. And that's the golden kneecaps done. Okay, so moving on, we've then got the this thigh plate here. Now again, that's getting brighter as it comes to the front here, and then darker towards the back. And then obviously this has got two edges, so we're going to get double edge highlights. Along here, so we can see it's under here, but it is mostly in shadow. So using the brown, and we're just going to basically leave it almost in black and just edge highlight along these edges here. In the mid-tone we can edge highlight the top and try and blend it in a little bit. And then in there we can barely see it, so I'm just going to try and pick off that edge with the yellow there. Come back to this side and then brighten up this area. There we go. Rinse the brush, grab the white and highlight on these edges and corners. And we can even do this one because they are both parallel to the ground, so they're top edges. And then the same with the other side. Obviously there's a lot more in light here. Just grab this, grab there, leaving that darker between the two, and then we'll grab this one here. So these edges are going to be the brightest here. And then we've got the darker brown coming down here and here, and then just a little bit as it rounds off around that corner there. And then we can work on brightening this up. Pull down the edge highlights. And there we go for that. And we can grab this brightest one and just edge in, highlight some of these areas. And then again with the white, just on some of these points, and only on the top side. Okay, next up we've got the elbows. They're going to be the same kind of thing, and we've got also, oh, we've actually got the inside of the thigh. Now it's mostly dark, so we're just going to use this brown to sort of edge highlight, just to give a bit of definition in there that there's some gold. And then we'll use this one just on this pointy edge. Like so. Okay, so we'll work on the shield next. We've got, obviously, this upper half is gold, and this, and also here, and then it's going to be much darker along the underside. So we'll edge highlight that, and this one, hopefully without getting anything on that blue black area we've already done. Brown this. Edge highlight with it. Darken it up here, or brighten it up I should say. And then the same on this side. So pretty much black under there. Got a bit on there, and I think it set really quick, so we'll just glaze over a bit of that black in there. And fade it out. It'll take a couple of layers, but we'll get that over there. Okay, a bit more gold on this bit. Right, edge highlight with the brightest. And then with the white, again we go in for the points. And there we go. So let's go and do the elbows. So bright across here, dark under there, bright across here, and down the side, and then down this side as well. And then brown on this side. Okay, so that's almost all the gold done. We've just got this bit around the collar to do. Now most of that is actually in light, in the sense of the top area here. So obviously I'm going to get some on the hair, doesn't matter too much. But what we're trying to do is basically just get that paint down some of the back, but not all the way down the back, as obviously that's going to be in shadow because it's deep down there. Okay, so whilst we've got the white out, now that that gold is all done, we're going to go through the blues and add in the edge highlights of the blue. So only the top areas on the outside edges, and keeping it as fine as possible. So here we just go for this parallel edge, and then we'll do the same on the bottom, but not quite as wide, and then one in the middle here. There's the edge highlight for that. So it shows that there's like a light coming down across the middle. We can even put one in like so. On this edge we're just going to do a little point highlight, do one right on the edge there. On the shield, we'll actually leave the shield because I still need to do the back, and if I go and put, actually no, we could do it, I'll put one there and a little one there. We've got a little one there, and that's also going to be in here. And then down here it's just this corner. And then a line of it just along here, like so. So hopefully that's showing. And then we just got those point highlights added in for that extra bit of shine. What I'll also do now is paint the face with that white, just so it's there for the to make the pink, or the, you know, the skin tone easier to paint. So he's got a blue mask on. I actually forgot about that. That's fine, we can paint that blue mask up in a bit. Might even be a she. But yeah, we'll paint that blue mask up in a bit. And then you can see there's like a stud in the head. That there is part of the mask. And then the hair appears to come down the front like that. And then goes down there. So that's the hair. That's the mask. Let's go and get that on. So what I'm going to do is go back over the mask with the black, because obviously we want that black undertone. So let's brush in the blue and let it pick off the details. Whatever it doesn't pick is obviously shadowed. Okay, and we can move into the middle blue. There we go, that's the mask done. And we can use that white, sorry, the Venetian grey, to pick off the upper highlights. And then the white just for a couple of spot highlights. Like so. Okay, so we're back for a third day now of painting this at this point, so I'm just going to add or refresh the paints that we've already got down for the golds, because we've got a little bit on the backpack to do. Okay, so for the backpack, we've got this sort of shape up the top here with these sort of vents cut into it, and it comes down a little bit. So because the light is coming at this angle, this is going to be brown or goldeny brown. So we'll do it with the base yellow to start with, and then that will go into the brown as it gets into that recess. This side we'll be doing the brown, and that will actually get darker as it goes in there. And then, like I said, we'll pull this side out. And again, we're just building up the layers one at a time, bit by bit. So on the top, you can see we've got this area right here. That's going to be the brightest, and then the same with the top here, and then all down the front there. So all of that. So I'll just try and get a smooth layer of that down, and then work on this side. And then we can go into the brown. And then our highlight will obviously be along the top there. So now all we need to do is just work on building these areas up to get that goldish look to it. And like I say, I'm not perfect at this, so do be gentle in those comments, guys. Okay, then we can go for the white, and hopefully we can revive this. And then all we want to do is just pick off again the corners and just bring them along where that shine would be on the brightest points. Brighten that up a little bit more towards this top right. And then a little bit more of the golden brown in the bottom, and then blend them together. Okay, so it seems that on my other model that I've done of this, I have done this backpack basically in blue, and then the vents here in greys. So that is what we will do on this guy, obviously just to keep it uniform. So we're going to do the exact same thing as we did before, where we have this brightest blue will be along here, and then a little bit at the top here, and that will get darker, and then the same, this one will be bright, and then this will be brighter as it gets towards the bottom. But it is all exposed, so it is all going to be blue with very minimal black. And then this side we can go a little bit more black nearer that inside edge, and just bring this blue up. Here obviously we can go nice and brighter with it. Alright, then we just need to wait for that to dry a bit. And then we can move to the medium blue. Which will be for the tops of these. Highlight down the center, and then a bit brighter here, and then down the bottom here. And then we can edge highlight around that little detail there. It doesn't seem to have one on that side. Okay, and we can take the Teclis blue and again go with a highlight, brighten up that top bit. And I think I want to brighten this up a little bit more, make it blue all the way up. Mid blue through most of it. Same with here. Okay, and then finally I've actually found my bottle of Lothern blue, which is pretty much what we made up out of the Teclis blue and the Fenrisian grey. So basically, yeah, I'm just using that instead for the lightest highlight. And again, just on the edges where that light is going to catch the most. There we go. Okay, so you've got this pouch here. I think I'm going to do that in the same greys as this and the underarm. I should have done it all at once really. And then the sword, on the artwork or on the box, it shows it to be blue, similar to the armor. So if I get that, we can have a look. So you can see it's very much similar kind of blue. So yeah, I think we'll keep it to that. Just going to work on this gold a bit more. You can see I've got this area there, and then I want to get a bit brighter on the golden yellow and then blend it in a bit. Okay, so let's just grab the Dark Reaper again. It's been a while since I used that one. And then the Fenrisian Grey. I think what I'll do actually is we'll put a blob there, and then we'll do the same with the Dark Reaper and mix that. A little bit of water in there. There we go. Okay, so same thing, lighter on the tops here, mid-tone on the side, and then again lighter on the tops here. So we'll work with the Dark Reaper first. We'll leave that pretty much black underneath. Here we just want, as we come to this sort of bottom corner, and then obviously the same here on the inside corner. For the side on this side we can go a little bit light, and then the same on this one. Okay, so now we'll thin this, because again we want to glaze this up for a blend. And now if we look at where the light is going to be, so yeah, we're pretty much lit up right across the whole of the side of this. So what we're going to do is just glaze in a single layer like this, and then we'll let that dry, and then we'll hard line a highlight around each of the cutouts there. And then for this we'll leave this corner dark, and basically we're going to go light towards this back corner, and then this one just along the edge here, and again pulling towards the corner, and then the same one here, pull towards that outside corner down on this end. For the side we just want to edge highlight to pick out those shapes. Okay, and then we can go around these and hopefully get a nice clean thin line around each one, or a thick line as that might be. And then we'll pick off the edges of this one here and this side here. Like that. And then we can come in with the Fenrisian grey and just pick off the bottom edge of each of these, as where the light is coming this way, that's where it's going to hit, and then here just on this curve slightly, and then the same on this side, just on the curve slightly, and then like so. For the tops we'll just come across and down the side like that, and then we can just pick off again the corner of these, just where that highlight would be. Now we can work on this one down here. And then all that we've got left is the gun. So the gun is pretty much black, so all we want to do is just some edge highlighting with the Dark Reaper. Best thing to do for this is get some of that Dark Reaper, pull the bristles till they're flat like so, and then just as though you're sort of dry brushing, edge highlighting, things like that, very carefully just touch across the top of everything and let some of that paint transfer over. And then we can grab the lightest and then I find just sort of touching across some of the areas just for some of that edge highlighting. It just gives a quick and simple sort of highlight to the weapon without needing to do too much detail, because there's not a huge amount of detail on these anyway. If we can get it to focus, so you can see there's not a huge amount of detail on them. Put a little bit of shadow or highlight down there and a little bit just on the top of that one. but all we want to do is just pick out where some of those highlight areas would be on it. Okay, so the handle, or the hilt of the sword is also black, as well as this part here, or it's that black metal like what we've done this with, that darker metal. So we're going to do the same thing along here and just basically highlight this up. And then on the bottom side, just going to edge highlight with the Dark Reaper. Like that. Okay, so the sword. Let's put some more blues down on the palette. There we go, some fresh blues down. Okay, so light is coming from this side of the sword, so the majority of it is going to be a bright blue. This side is going to be a bit lighter, darker, but it is still open to the light, so it's got light coming around. It is going to be lit up. So what we're going to do is get a coat of, we'll start with the inside. We'll get this darker blue one, and what we want to do is keep areas like this curve darker, brighter on this one because it's towards that top surface, and then just a little bit in there, and then on the back end of it we're just going to put a little bit in here, down in the middle here, and then again coming from about here down. Right, underside, now we can start highlighting. So again, we want this to get brighter towards this edge here, so we're going to start with an edge highlight and then just bring that to there, and the same with that. So we've got that mid blue. Same with this, going to come down and basically be a bright blue here, bright blue along these, and then just a little bit on the corner and there. Next we want to edge highlight all of the inside of this cutout. Not sure what they call that, the middle of the sword. It's like a channel down there. You also want to edge highlight this here. And then edge highlight the other side as well. So where the bevel ends. Next we can take the lighter blue, thin it right down and blend that down here. Edge highlight, tap it in there, and then the same here, just blend it so it's just on that edge there, and then we can edge highlight again. And then we'll grab some of that Lothan blue and just get that right down in the bottom there. Okay, so moving around to the brighter side of the sword now. This time we'll start with the middle tone. You don't really need the other one. It's the same thing, we're coming down with the intention of getting brighter towards this part of the blade. Okay, and then the absolute flat of the blade is going to be the brightest part of this. And then all we're doing is just trying to build up each time, starting a little bit further back and then finishing off on that brightest blue area. Well, that was a bit too thin, so it's gone and lined in the crease there. Okay, move on to the next one. Okay, so what I'm doing now with the Techless Blue, no, not the Techless Blue, the Calidor Sky. No, it's not, it is the Techless Blue. So the Techless Blue, I'm just edge highlighting these sort of little details around here the best that I can. Right, now we can go with the Lothan Blue. Okay, so what I want to do now is edge highlight the inner and outer of this with the Lothan Blue, and the same with this edge here, and the same coming down this way. And then with that Lothan Blue, I'm going to pull some lines of light across the blade. And then finally with the Fenrisian Grey, just going to edge highlight the top here and also here, and then the same on this part of the blade on the inside, because that's where the light is coming down, it's going to hit it most. And then we can just blend in a little bit on the top of the blade there. So again, apologies for the camera washing a lot of that out, guys. It's a lot more towards the whiter side than it is the darker side. It's brighter in person is what I'm trying to say. So now we'll just take the white and we're just going to edge highlight those sort of bright edges and corners. There we go. So all that's left now is the rings here, or these sort of studs, and the 4 on the inside, as well as the inside of the shield. And again, I can't see the inside of the lower shield. The upper shield, this is all black, and then this, the sort of the back parts of these are the same color as this. So basically we're just going to, because it's in shadow, if we can get the camera to pick it up, so we're just going to basically put a glaze down from that darker edge to that lighter bit at the bottom in the crag blue, and that will pretty much be the blue done in there. For the black we'll do the same with the Dark Reaper. And that's the inside of that done, and then his gloves are black as well, so again the Dark Reaper is enough just to add a bit of highlight in there. And then we can take this middle tone and just pick off the tops of these studs and that, and the top of the plate, just where the light would hit a little bit. Right, so these studs are black, so just make sure that they are black, and then all we're going to do is just basically line them with Dark Reaper, and then on the ones on the left hand side, so his right, we'll do a finer highlight with that middle tone. And then the same with these. Very carefully, we're just trying to edge highlight these small studs. Oh, they're sort of like screw heads. And then on the outside ones, and this one here, we're just going to give it a little touch of that Fenrisian grey on that upper edge of each of these bolts, or studs, screws, whatever they are. Grab some of that white and then just touch it in for some point highlights. Alright, one thing I'm not super happy with is this gold here. I want it to be brighter, so I'm just going to blend in a bit more of that yellow. There. We could go a little bit brighter on the inside of there, I think. And then down here, we'll just glaze that. Like so. I think we can actually get away with glazing over all of that as well. What we'll do, if we glaze over this, it's going to make everything brighten up a little bit towards that blue tone. So you can see it's tinted everything now towards that tone, giving it a little bit more of that, bit more of this blue rather than this blue. And then we can go in with this one and again just edge highlight. There we go. And all that's left now is his hair and skin. Okay, so for the skin, we've got some Kislev flesh and flayed one flesh, and for the hair, Mornfang brown and Scrag brown. So we've got the Kislev flesh there, and the flayed one. And then below that we've got the Mornfang brown and the Scrag brown. Okay, so we'll do the skin first. And again, we're using thin down paint. And we've already gone in with the white for this, that we can get this to go a little bit purer quicker, or a little bit brighter quicker. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this Mornfang brown, some of this Kislev flesh, because I don't need a lot of it, and then all I'm going to do is start shadowing around the side and in some of the texture areas, and then like around the hairline and things like that. So you can see there we've just got some of that shadow in there, and then we've got it along the top of the crease of the forehead, and then from this side it's just darkening up slightly. And then we can take some of that flayed one flesh, don't need a lot of this, and basically I'm just going to dab in some highlights on sort of the shiny area of the head. For the hair, nice and simple, Mornfang brown over the top. And then the scrag brown, same kind of thing we did for the gun, where I just get the bristles nice and flat, pull it through some of that paint, and then just touch it along the top. That's a bit thin, a bit too thin. You want your paint drier than what I've got it. We're not going for perfection here. So we'll let that dry and then do a second pass. And this is just to add in some highlights and sort of lighter brown. And we can take some of this golden yellow, mix it in a bit, get a lighter yellow colour, and then just touch it just on this side. Like so. There you go, quick, nice and simple hair. I think I'm going to brighten up these edge highlights a little bit more. there we go. So that's the model finished if you want clean armor. Mine, however, I want to put some scratches and that on him and a little bit more texture. So for the blue, I'm just going to go in with a mix of the mid blue and the highlight colour. Get it thin and barely anything on the bristles. Get that to a nice point, and then I can just scruff in some scratches and, you know, details basically. Just very, very fine, very light lines. The gold armor we don't need to worry about, the gold parts, because gold doesn't scratch as easy, it doesn't show up scratches as well. But if you wanted to, you could do it with a thin down shadow, so the brown. And then if we add a little bit more of that Fenrisian grey in, and do just a few more in the brighter area, and again keep these thin. And then for the greys, so the backpack, you can pretty much just do it with that mid-tone that we mixed up here. And again, just very finely line in some scratches and dents. Okay, and there we go. Aside from the platform here that he's standing on, I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing for basing yet, and obviously I want that to be something similar to match, so I won't do that in this video. And yeah, like I said, I've got to figure out the basing. The eyes, if you've watched my other videos, I'm terrible at doing eyes. I hate doing eyes, so I'm going to leave them on this. Hope you guys don't mind that. But otherwise, there you go. One completed O12 Starlight Brigade member. Oh, sorry, Starlight Torchlight Brigade member. So Torchlight Brigade member for the O12, done in the traditional blue and yellow, or blue and gold, whatever you want to class that as. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. I know it's been a long one. We're looking almost an hour and a half now by the looks of it. Maybe even 2 hours. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think. If you've enjoyed this, if you enjoy these. Also, if you think that I should do these for Patreon and then condense them down for YouTube and just sort of like focus on maybe like the armor here, for the blue, then a little bit of the gold, just to show techniques and things like that on YouTube. What do you guys think? Or shall I just wait for the 1,000 subscribers and then get the extra, I don't know what it's called, it's not the subscribe button because that is YouTube, but it's the equivalent to paying like $4.99 a month or whatever it is, towards the channel, just to help with a bit of extra support. Subscription, no, because that's still subscribe, not sure. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think, guys. But that is all for me today. So as always, guys, thank you ever so much for joining me. If you have enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you are not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you have recently subscribed, then a huge warm welcome to you. Thank you ever so much for your support. And until next time, guys, as always, take it easy. Keep painting those minis.